Penn State On Demand is a service of Penn State Public Broadcasting, and now you can support WPSU when you shop online. Visit WPSU.org/shop to make purchases from national online retailers, and WPSU will receive a portion of the sale with no extra cost to you. So start your online shopping at WPSU.org/shop.
The following program is a special presentation of the Big Ten Network, produced in association with Penn State University.
Every generation has events that shape who they are.
The greatest generation defeated fascism in World War II.
The silent generation was defined by ambiguity and the forgotten war.
Baby boomers had Woodstock.
And Generation Xers had the introduction of personal technology.
But it is the millennials that could be the next great generation.
Join 9 Penn State students as they discover what it means to be this generation. We are
the Millennials.
All right, guys, we're back for another episode of We Are the Millennials. And on this show, we look at 4 Penn State students who are only sophomores, but they've had some really unique experiences and been involved in some really interesting things. Now, all of us at this table are seniors. What is something you cherish most from your time at Penn State?
Well, for me, as a sophomore, I joined Thon. I was involved in the committee for Thon, and I just thought it was really neat to see how much money a group of students can raise in a short amount of time, and it was just an unbelievable experience for me.
Now, for me, it was in January of this year, going across the country to Pasadena, California, being able to broadcast the Penn State football game. It was one of the greatest experiences I've had in my entire life.
I think for me, my fondest memories has been my involvement in various organizations throughout campus. Especially, I'm the vice president of the Dominican Student Association, and I've gained friendships that will last forever, so I'll take that most from Penn State.
I definitely have to say it's having my own show on the college radio station, The Lion. It's really fun to be able to pick whatever music and talk about any topics and just have a ball.
My favorite experience was winning the New York Times public speaking competition in the spring of my freshman year. It was a lot of work and it was a lot of fun, and it's how I became interested in broadcast journalism.
Now, all 4 of these students are involved in a program called the Presidential Leadership Academy. Steph and Viviana, I know you did our next story. What stood out to you about them?
I'd say that Chris definitely is very well-rounded, and although he's focused on his academics, he's also very interested in doing things that are outside of school.
I think the most interesting thing is he uses all the resources he has to really give back to the community. He's not selfish at all. He's all about giving back, and he uses everything that he has to make sure that the people around him are going to the top with him.
Before I came to Penn State, a lot of people told me that it's such a big university, you're really not going to be able to leave your mark on it. And to be honest with you, I don't believe that. A mentality that I always bring is that if there's an important person to meet, I'll meet them. If there's something that I need to do, I'll do it. As students, you have to be willing to go that extra mile and really work harder than everybody else in order to get what you want.
Christopher Ramby gives himself credit when credit is due, but he says he hasn't done anything yet. He's determined to keep working and proving himself, saying that even when he gets to where he wants to be, he aims to go further.
My goal, I would really like to work in a hedge fund or something of that nature in New York City, because although I'm an advertising major, I want to take the core information from advertising and apply it to a more business-minded aspect. I was talking to the CEO of US Steel the other day and just asking for his advice because he's in a position that I'd like to be in. And he told me a quote. He said, "I like to do important things with important people." And that's exactly what the Presidential Leadership Academy does for me. I was talking to President Spaniard and asking him how does he balance both his academic workload and his social life. And he looked me dead in the eyes and he said, "Chris, if you want it all, you can have it all." And I believe that.
While he works his way up, Chris still manages to help those around him.
I'm involved in the Special Olympics pretty heavily, both at home and at Penn State. I coach a special needs basketball team of both children and adults, and I actually play unified softball with special needs athletes here at Penn State.
Coming from a close-knit family, the sophomore has always been determined to be successful.
It's in tributation to my parents because they've really done a wonderful job in raising 4 boys. Although I'm thinking about the future and I'm always going, I mean, I'm a big photographer. I go out every Sunday to take pictures, and you have to stop and appreciate, your youth and the places that we're at now.
We had the chance to sit down with Chris and his best friend Devin, which gave us some insight on Chris and his involvement around campus.
With the Buttonwater Scholarship, I was fortunate enough to be blessed to receive it. And what I'm trying to do as a representative is bring not only scholars, but other students, whether minority or non-minority, into a common setting whether it be watching a football game, a spoken word, or anything of that nature.
We had the opportunity to follow Chris to his performance on the Line 90.7 FM with his spoken word piece.
I witnessed police abuse. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning.
You have to be able to balance your academic life with your social life. Trust me, I know. My freshman year, I was tunnel vision on my academics. And while I was really good, I was burnt out by the ends of both semesters. So I still bring that mentality to my academic work this year, but you have to be able to balance it with your social life. And I really do that by weightlifting. Weightlifting for me is a great way to relieve stress.
I had no clue that there's a person out there who can't dance, even have zero rhythm. And I didn't know that until I met Chris.
but there's a difference. There's a difference between can't dance and not trying.
Not trying, exactly.
And I try.
So,
Between finding time to breakdance and volunteering at the Special Olympics, Ramby demonstrates what it means to be a well-rounded student.
If you push other people down to get there, you might make it to the top, but you're gonna be alone. Exactly. I'd much rather be up there with my best friend than be there alone. I think that's important.
Ariel Manning begins her day like many other college students.
I wake up, I have Cinnamon Toast Crunch because I love it. Go to whatever classes I have that day, whether it's geography or political science. I usually find time in between to try and get work done because I usually have a meeting in the night. And not just meetings, but there are also different things that they have on campus, like talks and maybe lectures or presentations that I'm interested in going to. So I make sure to get my work done before then. And I guess whatever's being offered that night, if it interests me, I make sure to try and go out to it. And then after that is more work and then sleep sometimes.
To top it off, she attends daily meetings for one of the 5 different clubs she is a member of.
I'm in SMART, which is a Student Minority Advisory and Recruitment Team, the Presidential Leadership Academy, Ashe Theater Company, the NAACP Penn State's chapter on campus, and the Caribbean Students Association.
Manning is a sophomore at Penn State, and since her first semester on campus, she knew that campus involvement would be key to an entertaining 4 years. It is one of the points she makes to the prospective students when recruiting them to Penn State with the SMART Club.
I'm on panel committee, so it's basically when you come in for FitCap, you see those people sitting down ready to tell you about Penn State and experiences that they've had. I usually am one of those people, not for a FitCap, but for different panels that they have whenever people come to visit or when there are tours usually.
Manning's parents are from the Caribbean, which is why she has contributed time as a member to the Caribbean Student Association. These clubs allow Manning to do one of the unique aspects that separate her from the average student. She is volunteering her time to the community. One of her first experiences at Penn State was with Fresh Start Day of Service, which is a day of community involvement and is the largest service day at Penn State.
We helped do yard work around I guess you could say a home for abandoned greyhound dogs, and I think that's really when I started really getting interested in community service as well.
This type of community involvement has made Ariel want to help the world once she graduates.
In high school, I was in my Global Concerns Club, and it was kind of like an awareness club about the environment and human rights and things like that. And we took multiple trips to the United Nations, and once I was actually there and I saw the types of things that they did there, then I did more research about it. I made sure that kind of what I'm studying now will help me, will kind of mold me and be able to get me there. And I think the Leadership Academy is going to play a really big part in that.
A goal-oriented woman, Ariel hopes to turn her college degree in international politics into a career with the United Nations. Her ultimate dream is to begin a relief fund under the UN to help children in underprivileged countries.
The human condition and making sure that you help people and just realizing that we're all kind of human beings and we all deserve to be helped is really important to me. And I definitely think that at the United Nations I can do a lot of good if I ever get to work there.
Through her work in the classroom and the clubs, Ariel is taking the proper steps to achieve her dream.
Love. It's an a cappella group, which means that we do all of our songs completely using voices. There's something a little more raw about it, a little more, it cuts deep. I need an emotional release, and that's what singing does for me. I'm Alex Thompson, and I'm a millennial.
I wanted to walk on to the swim team here at Penn State, and I knew it would be challenging. I was pretty nervous in the beginning, and ended up coming onto the team and absolutely loved it. I loved the kids on the team, were extremely welcoming. They're my best friends now, and the coaches are amazing. And the practices are very challenging, but I think that each day is a new adventure for me, and I just absolutely love swimming for Penn State. We moved to Switzerland when I was 10 years old, and I lived over there for about 4 years and picked up French in about 6 months, and I started taking Spanish classes and was able to pick up Spanish pretty quickly as well. Me llamo Kristen McKnight, je nage ici à Penn State, and I'm a millennial.
College sophomores generally fit into the same mold. Still teenagers and still learning what they want to do in life. Meet August Dumbrow, a 25-year-old Penn State sophomore. Instead of packing for college after high school graduation, August was packing for boot camp. Why?
Largely to take a break from 12 years of public education and also try and gain a little bit of, experience outside of Pennsylvania.
August spent a total of 35 months serving the United States Army in Iraq and Afghanistan. While he may not agree with all of the Army's policies, August learned a lot.
The good side was the exposure to completely alien cultures. Just like in the United States, there are the incredibly destitute and impoverished towns and villages, but at the same time there are extremely affluent neighborhoods, and where they're walking around wearing jeans and shirts just like you would see on the streets of New York City.
In Iraq, he learned why each action he made was important, and it's something that he has taken with him to Penn State.
There are consequences for our actions as individuals. I try and be conscious of my decisions and actions at all times and how those are going to have long-term repercussions beyond my 4 years here at Penn State.
August keeps himself busy. In addition to classes, he participates in many activities, including the Liberal Arts Student Council. He also tutors at the Writing Center.
I think that there's a definite demand for competent writing in the world, communication. We need to get beyond a lot of this abuse of rhetoric that we see a lot.
August has 3 areas of study, including 2 majors.
Political science and philosophy, because I think the combination of the two will provide me with the tools or the skills to, try and fix some of that damage.
That damage refers to Iraq. To allow him to better help, he is also taking Arabic, which isn't exactly easy.
It is very hard. It's a whole nother alphabet. You write from right to left. Grammatically, it's just a completely different world from our own language.
August plans to take the skills he's learned at Penn State back overseas.
Having already done the military side of things, I would like to go back and on a more diplomatic mission.
August's dreams aren't easy, but the many classes and opportunities available at Penn State will help him help all of us.
What happens in other parts of the world does, in fact, impact what happens here in the United States. I believe that doing so, we actually help ourselves in the process. I think being there is the first step.
Many people would not think that dance and chemical engineering would be a likely combination. However, in Natasha Lundgren's life, it is an everyday reality. Lundgren is just one example of shining potential the millennial generation has to offer. One notable characteristic of Natasha's is her dedication to academics. And with a major in chemical engineering and minors in both dance and bioengineering, she certainly has her plate full.
I think I really knew I wanted to be an engineer because it's the future of math and science, and it's no longer you're a chemistry major, you need to be an engineer.
Not only is Lundgren studying to be an engineer, she is using the degree as a gateway into medical school.
Whenever I tell people I'm using chemical engineering to go to pre-med, they think I'm insane because it's so much harder. You have to take so many more classes that you don't even need for med school, but I think it's just I've always been an avid learner and I've always loved learning, so if I'm paying for school, I might as well learn as much as I can.
You may be asking where dance fits into all of this, but for Lundgren, it's in her blood.
Since I was a baby, I've been dancing. My mom is a professional dancer and my dad danced. That's how they met.
Tasha's TA, Todd Pontius, says that Tasha has been successful at combining both science and the arts.
Dancing is something that obviously you can't just pick up overnight. It's something that you have to dedicate yourself to over a long, long period of time. And I feel like that translates very well into an academic setting as well, because something things like chemistry are not things that you're going to just suddenly have an epiphany and understand right off the bat.
Tasha's background is as diverse as her majors. Her mother is French and her father is from Sweden. And though the family lives in Boston, the Lundgrens find interesting ways to keep in touch.
Hur mår du?
Ja, bra. Mår du?
Jag är bra också, men jag är jättetrött.
But just because Tasha may mean business in the classroom doesn't mean that this millennial doesn't like to have fun outside of school. She is a member of Tapestry Dance Company, which will make an appearance on the Thon dance floor this year.
We have a Thon family, and the little girl, Jada, she used to be a dancer too, so it's a big connection.
And of course, besides extracurriculars, there is always time to grab a bite with some close friends. Tasha's friend, Jacqueline McDonald, says that Tasha will talk to anyone, even if they won't speak back.
She's not afraid to embarrass anyone, and she can't be embarrassed. She'll walk around and she'll see a chipmunk and she'll talk to the chipmunk, and she's not afraid to dance, walk into class. She's just the kind of girl that she will do whatever she wants. She doesn't care what you think, because she just, she loves being herself.
Tasha took her foreign roots even further her junior year of high school when she decided to study abroad in Sweden for a semester.
It's an amazing experience, and it was a big maturation process for me, just being 16 and being in a foreign country. And when you're 16 over there, it's completely different from being 16 here, because you just have so much responsibility there.
So whether she's dancing for a charity, talking to animals, doing research in the lab, or having fun with her friends, you can bet this millennial is working for a change, one tap at a time.
Now, Becca, I know you had the opportunity to work with Natasha. What do you think was the most interesting thing about her?
One of the really neat things I think Natasha did was she put together a 2-hour production ceremony dance program, and the money that she raised from that program went to the Mass General Hospital Genesis Fund, and that fund's put together to benefit disabled students. And she raised $3,000, which then allowed the Genesis Fund to continue for another couple of years, which was not expected.
Well, it's really cool to see Natasha giving back, because the Presidential Leadership Academy was founded on the generosity of Ed and Helen Hintz and their family, and Graham Spanier now leads the course. And a lot of the students in it, the students that we looked at, are beneficiaries of philanthropy and scholarships. Well, much like we sit down here, we brought those students together to talk about how philanthropy is really impacting their lives and helping them get through school.
Well, number one is the financial aspect, definitely. The financial aspect of a lot of things, whether it be in elementary school, high school, college, even at a higher graduate school, even above that on a global scale, can help so many people.
Well, for myself personally, without scholarship, I wouldn't be here. there's so many things that I can do with this gift. It's a blessing, and it kind of led, it's like it was a snowball effect. I did this, I got involved in this, I did this, this, and this. So really the gift of a scholarship is really just, for me, it was that spark. Yeah. And now I'm just going with it. So, I mean, I love scholarships. So.
Being the beneficiaries of philanthropy, it's going to make us more likely to donate in the future, not just to Penn State, but to a larger community, up to the global community that you mentioned.
I have a scholarship here, and although maybe it's not a huge boost financially, in order to keep it I need a 3.6 or higher, or whatever the GPA requirement is, and that's incentive for me to do well in school. Even if I have that incentive before, it's even more so now, because even if I don't need that money, it's still something I pride myself on.
I'd love to give scholarships to people, because I've seen what all, like, we are all from different, completely different, like, areas in life and walks of life, and that can scholarships can definitely help us. Like, I'm sure if we didn't have scholarships or a foot in the door, like, none of us would be sitting here right now, kind of, you know, interacting and getting ideas from each other.
There's always going to be somebody working harder than us and doing more than us. That's a fact. Yeah. But the thing that drives me personally is that although there is somebody ahead of me, I'm going to keep running and keep trying as hard as I can to catch up to that person, even if I don't. And I think that for every student in the Leadership Academy, that type of mentality is really what's going to get each and every one of us to wherever we want to go.